Hey y'all, welcome to this week's episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Truth. It's your girl Naya Angel here with my co-hosts E-Man and Mr. PAT. What's up, fellas?
What up?
What's good? What's good? What's going on out there?
Oh man, we got some great stuff to discuss this week. So we are going to start it off with a very hot topic right now. It's a movie that a lot of us 90s kids, and when I say 90 kids, I mean growing up in the 90s, because those 80s babies rule, baby. Yeah.
80,
87, 87.
84.
But it's the Mortal Kombat movie, fellas. So there's a lot of buzz about this one because a lot of people are like, yeah, I loved it. And a lot of other people are like, what the hell was that? So we're definitely going to jump into that. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw it to my guy, Mr. Eman, and start us off. What say to you, sir?
All right. So I just finished watching Mortal Kombat later today. All right. That movie was not all that great. And as I was watching it, I would say today, finishing it off today, because I watched it last night also too. But it's kind of crazy how Mortal Kombat came out and knowing that most of the lead actors are Asian. So it made me hit this whole thing, this huge thing they had, like Asian hate going on. Then all of a sudden, like Mortal Kombat came out. It was just that's what, struck to me at first when this movie like first came out and whatnot. And I thought it was like really weird. And I thought it was just very interesting. But now going back to the movie, it wasn't even all that great. I would say they did an excellent job with having a lot of characters in there. I would give them that. Kung Lao, they had Jackson there. Sonya was also in the original one also too. Who else they had that really shocked me? Mileena, but they didn't have no katana. They didn't have Johnny Cage. That was the most shocking thing out of the whole movie. Zero Johnny Cage. They did have Goro though, but no Johnny Cage. That was extremely shocking. Like I almost was like, "What? You had Kung Lao?
Where Johnny Cage at?"
I was like, "Where the fuck weird. Johnny Cage is at?"
Weird.
Yeah. They had my man. Oh man, what's that dude? Kano. Oh yeah, Kano was in there too. That was another. Like I was like, damn, they got Kano, but no Johnny Cage. I'm like, damn. And then my man I forget the youngin the dude that Kano was fighting and whatnot, the dude with the mask and whatnot. I keep forgetting his name, but he's a cool character. I just keep forgetting his name. And Shang, I'll give him that. They did an excellent job with actually making him look more like the character and whatnot. But and Raiden, they did. I feel like they just had a filler for him. But and what made it worse, they didn't even make it like a tournament and whatnot. The Sub-Zero was cool. And I liked, how they did the origin story with like Scorpion and whatnot, towards like, when he died. And then, he's living within the sun, then he finally is free finally from hell, and then Scorpion comes out. So that was pretty dope. But like I felt they focused so much on the storyline of the movie. Like it wasn't even about like the tournament. Like these guys about to get ready, they about to like Brussels. But I'm just like, man, you gave us a fighting scene literally almost in like I think like 110 minutes to 120 minutes in the movie. Because I think the movie is 150 minutes long. So I'm like, damn. So the movie is called Mortal Kombat. And it didn't have that much fighting scenes until like the end and whatnot. I give them the whole fatality parts that were really dope. How they tried to make it so cool that they wasn't fighting. So they made all the characters have their fatalities and they made them have all their cool little, like powers and whatnot, during like, this whole movie. So they made it kind of, somewhat interesting, but it didn't have that Mortal Kombat feel. So you guys took away the biggest thing that the movie's about. Just to give us small parts to be like, oh, that's a cool fatality. Oh, that's a cool fatality. But I feel like the director should go fire himself and go look in the mirror how shitty of a project he put out. And anybody else who
fire himself.
Yeah, he needs to fire himself and everything.
Well,
I know that sounds crazy. He should fire his own self. He should put himself in a corner and be like, yo, I need to go back to directing school and go put it out a better film. Like, you need to go fire yourself. I know that sounds crazy, but you need to go fire yourself. Like, I don't have you can't be ruining good movies like this, you know? Like, so how are you going to come up with a sequel now? Like, I don't even know what they're going to do, you know? It seemed like there's supposed to be a sequel, but I don't even know if I want to watch it or not because y'all had no much fighting scenes in there. Y'all just tried to sell us on stuff that's in the video game to be like, oh, this was good. Oh, this was great. But nah, man, go fire yourself, you know? But I'm going to just let my next person who wants to come in and share their thoughts because I feel like if I keep talking, I'm going to just keep telling this dude to just keep firing himself, which he needs to do, by the way. I think a director can fire himself. I think so. Worries. I don't know.
No worries. Understood, sir. All right, Mr. PAT, what say you, sir?
All right. So Mortal Kombat. Well, I'll just say overall, I thought the remake was okay. I'm gonna just say it was okay. I don't think it was terrible. I mean, I've seen terrible. I've seen worse movies. I've seen worse movies than that. So I'm not gonna say it's terrible or atrocious or I'm not gonna go that far. But it wasn't great. It just I was a little underwhelmed, and
damn right it wasn't great.
Just off the one time I watched, I can't say that I was highly impressed. I'll just put it like that. I mean, the fact of the matter is I've been a fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise since the early 90s when the game first came out, just like all of us on here and many other people, many of the 80s babies out there, where we were the 90s kids, we grew up with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and, all that, everything in the 90s, but not only have I had a few of the games, but I've seen the first two movies, the 90s movies, which the first one I thought was pretty good. The second one was trash, Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
What? Annihilation was actually pretty.
Yeah, that was horrible.
So throughout the end, it got boring. But when Johnny Cage died in the beginning, I think that's what killed the whole movie.
Well, definitely that. But I don't know, the whole movie, it was just, I don't know, it was too all over the place. And yeah, I was not impressed with that movie. The first one, I actually liked the first one, even though I think a strike against that was PG-13, I believe. It wasn't rated R. I know that.
Yeah, it was PG-13.
But of course, it's like, come on, that was supposed to be rated R. But yeah, like I was saying before, so I've seen those movies. I used to watch the cartoon. I don't know if y'all remember the cartoon from back in the day.
Absolutely, that was my jam.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I used to really fuck with the cartoon back then, and just to go back to this movie, this current movie, and why I wasn't highly impressed with it. So as crazy as this might sound, I think the action could have been better. And I know people are gonna hear that and they're gonna be like,
"What action?
What? Like,
what action was?"
Oh, the action that was in there. The action that was in there. Now,
the one the one at the mid end of the movie, that type of action.
Well, there was a little action here. I mean, it was definitely some action throughout, but the action was good by like regular movie standards, but when it comes to Mortal Kombat, like a Mortal Kombat film, the action has to go way beyond whatever the standard is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm glad that the movie was rated R. I think that was a plus. And it left the lane open for the violence to be edgy. However, I think the edginess of the violence could have been pushed a bit harder. That's just me. Like, because some people might see it and they'd be like, hold up, man, hold up, Pat. Like that was pretty violent. You know, they were chopping people's heads off, and you could see people's spinal cords being ripped out, and there was fatalities and shit, which is true. But I just think it kind of had that Hollywood sheen a little bit, which, you know, I think they needed to just keep the violence, just the whole feel of the movie needed to be a little bit more raw and gritty. And I did see that some of it in this movie, but just not a whole lot of it. The thing is, when I think of violence that pushes the envelope, I think of movies like Raid Redemption. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
Oh shit!
Have y'all ever seen Raid Redemption?
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
I haven't seen it, but I played the video game. There's a video game for it, right?
No, I don't think it's a video game. It's basically an indie martial arts film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those
Oh wait, who's the star of that? Because I've seen so many of those, like the Ip Man films and the Master Z's, and I've watched so many of those, so I might have seen it.
Right? Yeah, you might have. I got to look him up, but he's not very famous. I'll just put it like that.
Okay.
But so Raid Redemption, I know, is, you know, pretty big in the indie martial arts circuit, and that movie right there, I would say part 1 and part 2, but more so part 1. The martial arts in there is just, to me, that's like, I haven't seen anything that really tops that. Like, if you want that raw, gritty, edgy, you know, fighting that really pushes the envelope, that movie is it right there. Raid Redemption, for all the folks out there who aren't aware of it, and for the people who know, because the people who know they know. But that right there. So the violence in those movies and other indie martial arts films are raw, gritty, hyper aggressive, and extremely violent. They're like, basically, when you see these fight scenes, there's no like Hollywood gloss to it. It's just straight raw. And like Mortal Kombat had that a little bit, but I really just think it still had that kind of Hollywood kind of spin to it. And when we talk about the fighting, I think there should have been like more action set pieces, meaning like there should have been more, like the fights should have been longer, a little bit more drawn out. Yeah. Just like E-Man was saying with the tournament, I don't know why they didn't really bring that like the full aspect of that in there, because I know it was mentioned. It was definitely mentioned in there, but like they just didn't bring the full aspect of the tournament in there. So that definitely should have been in there. And speaking of action set piece, so when I think of something that's a long fight scene, see, now we're gonna go back to Batman vs Superman, E-Man's favorite movie. We're gonna go back to that movie, but we're gonna go to that Batman fight scene in the warehouse. That right there, like just the way that fight went and how long it was. Like, I wanted to see like that type of fighting, and like just that the way it was set up. I wanted to see more of that in Mortal Kombat, like that, like something along those lines. And I just wanted to see more of that. I really think Mortal Kombat should have showed more of that. I do like the fact that some of the fatalities were in the movie. That's obviously a great thing, because fatalities are part of Mortal Kombat. So
this is the hardest thing to do while you're playing the fighting game.
Yeah. Some of them, you know, fatalities are hard to do, but you know, it's when you can do it, it's nice to see it. You know, it's definitely a great experience, and you know, and that we got that due to the fact that it's rated R, which is good. So I think that's one of the pluses of the movie. One thing I liked about the original movie from the 90s was that it started off with the original 3 characters from Earthrealm, which was Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage. And we already touched on Johnny Cage. I mean, I wasn't crazy about the fact that he wasn't in the movie. To me, it was just like,
why? I was, because Johnny Cage is that silly dude who can fight and whip ass, and I wanted him to do the little nutcracker joint to like Goro, because Goro was in the movie,
right?
And he did it in the original joint, so I'd be like, oh yeah, and he'd be
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. I wasn't crazy about him not being in the movie. Like, I wanted him to be in this movie. Like, so bad. When I watched it, I was just like, why would you not put Johnny Cage?
Right.
Like what?
It's just weird because he's the main character of the thing.
Right. He's one of the main characters. So, you know, because he was in the first game that ever came out in the early 90s. He was in the first movie. You know, I know he got killed in the second movie, Annihilation. But, you know, either which way, he's still a major part. Like, he's still a major character. So I definitely didn't like him not being in there. But even though, you know, there was an Easter egg at the end showing that he'll be in the next movie, I you know, cool, I guess. But, you know, instead we got this Cole Young character, which to me, we didn't really need him. I'll just be honest. Like, I know he was part of the storyline that they were, you know, that they made, but, you know, to me, it's like, we didn't really need him. Like, you know, just y'all could have just thrown Johnny Cage in there and just kind of changed the story up a little bit.
Yes.
You know, to me, like, the dude just didn't really add to the Mortal Kombat story itself.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know,
I agree. Mm-hmm.
That's neither here nor there. I think we can all agree we would have loved to seen Johnny Cage in the movie.
Absolutely.
You know, and with that being said, I wouldn't have mind if this remake somewhat emulated the 95 movie in regards to starting off with those three characters. Yes, but, you know, that's just me. And, you know, just to end it off, I'll say that one of the pluses of this current movie is that, yes, we did get to see multiple characters. I think that was cool. But here's the thing. When we have all these characters in Mortal Kombat, it's actually going to be hard to make a great movie out of it. And I know it sounds a little contradictory, but the reason I say that is because there just needs to be more character development. I really just think there needs to be more character development, not with every single character, but with like certain key characters. You know, we need to know who some of these people are. We need to get a little bit more depth, I think, because I think one of the problems with this movie is that whoever made it, it's like they assume that everybody is familiar with Mortal Kombat.
That's what it seems.
That's, you know, because this generation today, they're not very familiar with it like we are. You know, we grew up with it, but if this generation today wants to check it out, yeah, they'll watch it, but, you know, they don't really know a whole lot about, like, you know, Jax and like Kabal and Kano.
There goes Kabal, yeah.
You know, like Sub-Zero, and they've heard the names, but
yeah, Kabal is a dope dude.
He's dope. He's dope. He's definitely you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they heard the names before, but, you know, people don't really know the backstories like that unless they're like really heavily invested in the games like that.
That's true.
You know, I just think this movie honestly could have been a little bit longer to bring a little bit more depth to some of these characters, because it's like they're in there. You get bits and pieces, but, you know, you're not really getting a full scope of who some of these people are. It's just the director and everybody else involved with the movie. It's like they're just assuming that everybody already knows, you know, who these characters are and what their motivations are and why they're in the tournament, and, you know, so that's pretty much how I look at it. The movie was okay. It was just okay in my opinion. It wasn't great. Definitely was not great. It wasn't terrible. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I could watch it again. It's not like one of those movies where I'm just gonna be like, oh well, I can't watch this again. I don't think it was that bad, but yeah, it was just okay. It was really just mediocre in my opinion.
And that's
I'll just say that the movie being rated R was definitely a step in the right direction. I'll say that much. Like that's it. That's where it needs to be rated R, because at least you have more room to take the violence, take it all the way out there. I definitely would like to see more character development in the future movies that they come out with. Yeah, I just need them to push the envelope a little bit more, in regards to everything. Just everything. They just need to push the envelope a bit more.
I still think the director should have fired himself. Like he should look himself in the mirror. Definitely look in the mirror and be like, "Yo, I need to fire myself. I just put out the worst shitty movie out in the world in 2021."
Hold on. Sorry. One real quick. I forgot to say that one thing I did like about this movie was the beginning with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I did like that. At least they got some development. So
I give you that part.
I can say, yeah, I like that part. That was good, but yeah, I forgot to add that in there.
But how crazy would it? Sorry, not Angel.
No, you're fine.
Okay. But how crazy would it have been if Jax wasn't in the movie and Sonya was, or vice versa? That's what I felt when I watched it. I was like, y'all put Jax and Sonya knowing that they're a duo and whatnot. If you watch the first movie, but damn it, that just left Johnny Cage. Y'all couldn't even come up with anything to like really put Johnny into the story and whatnot.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's a good point too. So both of you raised great points, but you know me enough to know where I'm going with this. Basura. Okay, it's that simple. So let's talk about Mortal Kombat. So first of all, if we breaking down everything to the bones, right? Sub-Zero carried the shit out of that crappy ass movie. If it wasn't for how cool Sub-Zero was in every scene that he was in, I would not give 2.5 shits about that movie. Okay.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, who the fuck is Cole Young and why should I care? And guess what? I don't. Okay. He was boring as fuck the entire time. They had the opportunity, since they were going with the fact that he was a blood descendant of Scorpion, which by the way, is fucking cool when you think of the concept, if you had to carry it through. All they had to do to carry that through was made it so Scorpion is reincarnated into this dude, right? All they had to do was like, okay, now, or if you ain't even going to reincarnate it into him, because they made it, think about this, they made it so that he is a descendant of the kid that Scorpion left behind. I get it. Okay. But you had the opportunity multiple times to bring Scorpion back by using Cole's body. Okay. It even somewhat alluded that was what was going to happen when it went through the whole, this is how you bring your powers out shit. So first of all, there are multiple grievances I have with this movie. I got a list. So,
you got a list? Oh,
yeah,
damn.
I got a list. So first thing first, how fucking dare you not have Johnny Cage in the movie somewhere, somehow? I'm not saying that Johnny Cage is like the most awesome character ever. I mean, let's keep shit real, right? Most Mortal Kombat game players do not immediately choose Johnny Cage first.
Nope, I choose Liu Kang, but that's just my thing, or Scorpion, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the point even though, because the point is Johnny Cage is a staple of Mortal Kombat. You have a Mortal Kombat movie.
That's agree.
You have Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, Johnny fucking Cage. You make sure those three people are in a Mortal Kombat movie as far as the good side, right?
Absolutely.
And then of course you have your other staples. You have Raiden, you have fucking Kitana, which also wasn't in the movie, right?
I agree.
Which is you have Mileena, bro, but you didn't have.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't like that. They didn't have
That
Kitana.
made no sense.
That definitely made me mad.
No, it doesn't. And I know where they're going, because if you notice, the reason you don't actually see the tournament is because this is supposed to be a precursor to the tournament, a precursor to them gathering all of the warriors that are going to fight in the tournament. Because my guess is that the next movie that come out, you're actually going to see the tournament go through fruition, right? Like Goro and Sub-Zero are going to be back, because notice that in that movie, Shang Tsung says death is just the way to another realm, right? And they kind of turned, right, because he didn't like snatch their souls. They turned into black dust. So my guess is that they're probably going to come back in the next movie, and it's going to come to fruition with like us actually seeing Shao Kahn. Because keep in mind, that's another one they reference, but you didn't actually see in the movie.
Right.
That's actually true.
You didn't give us enough body in this movie in order to be satisfied with the results. Cole Young is whack. It's whack as fuck, okay? He was whack. He was weak. There was so many different things he did. And it was like, bruh, are you serious? The scene where he comes back to the cabin where his wife and daughter is and puts them in imminent danger is fucking stupid. Okay? That's the whole reason they're there, is to keep them out of danger.
What about the scene when Reptile came into play, when he was the actual Reptile?
Yeah, Reptile was cool. Now, Reptile coming into play was cool, right? But again, I feel like most of those scenes where it was before they actually got to Raiden's temple, and I'm going to get into Raiden in a second. Raiden's temple was Kano carrying them with his one-liners, and that's really the only reason that the movie was rated R, because when you think about it, yes, it had some like dope murder scenes in it, like when Kung Lao used his hat to do the fatality when they were in Raiden's temple. Okay, that was John.
That joint was dope.
Yeah, that was dope. That
was the best. That's his favorite thing.
Turn around and kill Kung Lao when he was the second best character that was wrecking shit besides Sub-Zero. They just, my problem with this movie is it's all over the place. You got Raiden, who is thousands of fucking years old. Okay, thousands of years old. And I'm glad that at least they didn't whitewash him, but he's thousands years old, and you got this man looking like he in his 40s or something. I mean, where's the attention to the detail? Let me tell you something.
He ain't had long hair.
He didn't have long hair. There's no grays. There's no indication of his aging whatsoever, besides the fact that he is rated. And then look at Liu Kang. I'm sorry, but Liu Kang is one of the most important characters, if not the most important character in Mortal Kombat, because if you truly stick to the original story, there wasn't a whole bunch of chosen ones. There was a whole bunch of champions, but not a whole bunch of chosen ones. They were reserving the chosen one for Liu Kang. That was the reason why he could have the dragon come out and fatality motherfuckers with the fire dragon. Yep. But then you go and you bring this weak ass Liu Kang into the reintroduction movie of Mortal Kombat. Have you lost your fucking mind?
I agree. That nigga looked like a toothpick on steroids. I repeat, a toothpick on steroids.
Exactly, man. And then the toothpicks. While we're talking about toothpicks, let's talk about Jack's arms before he realizes his powers.
Yeah, that threw me.
That shit was all like, yo. I was like, what the fuck?
Those shit look like little T-Rex arms. Yeah, that's what that shit looked like.
Why did you remind me of E.T. though? It was so weird. He was like, oh my goodness. What happened?
I was watching the movie. I was just like, hold up. Jack's arms can't be like this throughout the whole movie. Fuck that.
It was so whack. Now, the scene in which freaking Sub-Zero rips them off was dope. Okay. And I knew that's where that was going, right? But it just, I don't like, why even do the first set of the arms that were all weak and all of that stuff? You could have put the cool arms on him from the break, and his breakout power is that some extra surge of electricity goes through the arms or some shit. It felt rushed. It felt like they didn't think things through. It felt like what they had the potential to do and what they actually did was way, way, way less just exciting. It was the most appropriate term I can think for this movie is lackluster. This movie was lackluster for Mortal Kombat fans, in my opinion. If you're a true fan of the game, if you're a true fan of the original 95 movie, which was better than this one, and that's saying a lot, because that movie was somewhat sucky, but it was better than this one. If you're a true fan of these movies, you just, and I went to the theater to see it.
Oh, you wouldn't catch me watching that thing.
You went to the theater to see it?
I went to the theater to see it, bro.
It was called HBO Max.
I went
$13.99 a month.
I got HBO Max, but I went to the theater to see it. This was the first movie I went to see in the theater since the pandemic occurred. Because I was so excited. Do you know how pissed I was when I left that movie?
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm like,
I can imagine too. Yeah, I'm like, bitch, give me a refund back.
The best part of that experience was that popcorn, because I had the popcorn where they put the little seasoning on the top. That shit was busting. But the best part of that movie was that popcorn. But yeah, I mean, my rant is coming to an end. Here's my overall view. So overall rating out of 10, 5. And that's because it was a movie about Mortal Kombat characters. Okay.
Damn, you gave him a 5?
Period. Yeah, I'm giving it a 5 because it was a movie about Mortal Kombat characters. Like I'm saying, like if it's absolutely nothing else on at all, and I happen to be in the mood to see Sub-Zero wreck shit, I will watch that movie. Other than that, I do not acknowledge it as an actual Mortal Kombat movie, besides the fact Sub-Zero was in there wrecking shit. Okay. And then go ahead, I'm sorry.
You said you wouldn't acknowledge the movie. I thought me telling the director firing him was bad.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not acknowledging that as a mortal. Okay, let me put it this way. When you compare it to the other movies that have came out about video games, like that shitty ass Max Payne movie with Mark Wahlberg.
That shit was a waste too.
I've never seen that.
It was horrid. It was horrible.
Well, video game movies in general, and basically movies based on video games is really hard to do anyway.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. When you talk about that Max Payne movie with Mark Wahlberg or that shitty ass Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, all of the Mortal Kombat movies are better than either one of those. Right?
You know what's funny about that movie though? Like when back then, when it first came out, because I believe it came out in 1994, if I remember correctly. 94. You know, we were all little back then. I was really excited. Me too. Back then when I saw it, I was excited for it to come out. Mm-hmm. And I remember liking it back then, but watching it now as an adult, and I think I've seen it maybe a couple years ago or so. But when you watch it as an adult, you just see how corny it is. Like you just see how like it's bad. Like it's just really bad. Like, damn, did I really like this when I was little? Like
it really is that bad. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying compared. Now, don't get me wrong. Compared to that Street Fighter movie and that fucking Max Payne movie, all the Mortal Kombat movies have been much better. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you the best one that I've seen. The best one that I've seen is the animated movie Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. Have y'all seen that one?
Yeah,
What you talking about? Yep. Oh my goodness. I watched that joint like 15 times.
Yes. And see, that's where I thought that one was going to go, right? Because, you know, in that one, Sub-Zero does kill his family, but you find out it's not really Sub-Zero, right? That is Quan Chi instead.
Yeah.
So they could have even gone there with this movie and it would have been significantly better. This movie was just thrown together. It was, for the most part, some dope scenes within a failed attempt to bring luster back to this movie series. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be excited to see the second one. I am going to be excited to see the second one, not just because it's alluded to Johnny Cage at the end of this one, but because I'm actually excited to see some of the other characters that were missing from this one. Yeah. Kitana, Johnny Cage, Shao Kahn. We're actually going to get to like see a broader range of characters in this. Hopefully more of actual Scorpion, because we only saw actual Scorpion in the last couple of minutes of the movie, besides when he was just himself earlier in the fight scenes. So I'm super excited about all of that. So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be excited to watch the second one, but yeah, this one, let me take a sip so I can say this clearly. Basura.
So before we go to the next topic, I would say, yeah, the director he still needs to fire himself though. But with the whole like character development, I'll give him if he puts Ermac, Nightwolf, Baraka, could he put Kabal in there? Baraka, and let me get one more good one, a good one.
They alluded to Nightwolf too, because they showed a picture of what looked like a Native American tribesman on that wall Sonya was keeping.
Yep, that's what I thought when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, that's Nightwolf."
or Rain and whatnot. Then I'll be like, "Okay, you got a few good ninjas out there and whatnot."
Well, and see, here's the thing, because of course we all know that Mortal Kombat has a ton of characters. Like I wouldn't want to watch a movie where it's just overwhelmed with too many characters, and then of course you lose the storyline. And that's the thing. This is why I think character development is so important with the key characters, because of course everybody can't get character development, because then this movie is gonna be. I mean, you're gonna need 6 movies for that. You're gonna need like 6 or 7 movies, or you're gonna need a movie that's like 6 hours. So it's hard to develop all these characters, but they just have to find a way to do it. I think if they could find a really dope way to introduce all these other characters, great. But it's hard. It's very tricky. Because remember, this movie is based on a video game, which already, as we've already said before, is tricky enough to even make a good movie out of that. So. I'm cool with seeing some of these characters, but they got to find a way to make it make sense. And
yeah, exactly.
They have to, because
by putting out this trash. The trash man don't come every freaking day to be removing this trash off our screens. This is baloney. They had people all excited. I bought fucking movie tickets.
Yeah, that's
okay.
But the thing that got me. If you wanted to make it make sense, how in the hell is Luke? I don't get it. How do you have one of the most characters that don't even get mentioned? How do you have Kung Lao and no Johnny Cage? How do you have Kabal?
They thought it was going to be exciting to give the Johnny Cage Easter egg, right? They thought that would be like enough to be like, for people to be like, ooh, I can't wait for the next one. And I mean, to a certain extent, it does make you want to see the next one, because you want to see, who Johnny Cage is going to be and etc. But Johnny Cage alone, like that was the only Easter egg they gave, even though there was no mention of Katana in that movie.
Right.
She's another major character, and she should have at least been mentioned. I mean, you see photos or images or drawings or hieroglyphs of Shao Kahn, so he's a part of the story, right? Not to mention Shang Tsung references him a few times, but there is no mention of Katana.
That's true. I don't even know. Like I said, he should just fire himself. That's what he needs to do. He needs to go fill out his own pink slip and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go fire myself.
Well, keep in mind too, though, just to play the devil advocate here a little bit, and I know we need to move on to the next thing, but the director rarely has an extreme amount of say in the screenwriting, unless, I'm not going to say that about casting, because directors have put their influence over casting so often. Look at Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro. Those two love each other, right? Or Martin Scorsese and Al Pacino. There are so many movies with those actors and those directors. However, a lot of the times with actors who don't have, directors who don't have those big names like that, they're not necessarily able to really influence the production company about the script, right? And sometimes they're just directing a script that was provided to them. However, in this particular case, I agree with you that the director, just some of the scenes, the way they were put together. For instance, that scene where Cole Young is in the fucking barn or whatever, and he's looking to fight Goro. Okay, so here's the thing. You already are not Scorpion. You're basically lame because they've alluded multiple times in the movie that you're going into fights knowing you're going to lose for $200 motherfucking dollars. Okay. It never dawns on him for 1 second that he is absolutely able to be much more than what he was doing at that moment to even try to power up or level up so he could beat this huge ass motherfucking monster that's about to kill him, his daughter, and his wife. Like, he doesn't even attempt. He's just so lame. Like, when you think about Kung Lao and Liu Kang, when Shang Tsung shows up there, they're like, oh, no, motherfucker, you ain't just going to walk up in our shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, right, they're ready to go. They're ready. Gumption.
Yep.
So, anyway, I ranted. I apologize.
No, you good.
Are you good?
You guys, that was coming though.
No, I mean, it was going to come.
Where you coming from?
I mean, I feel where you come. Like I said, it was going to happen. It was going to happen because it. Man, I don't even know. You know what? I feel like the more I keep talking, I feel like I just want to give him a pimp slap and be like, bitch, you just fucked up the whole damn shit, man. Y'all can't do nothing right no more.